So today we'll begin with the chapter called Cell. Kids, have you seen a wall? All of us have seen the wall. Let me make one for you. Now what is it made up of? We know that a wall is made up of bricks. So can we say that the unit of a wall is a brick? That means several bricks combine to make a wall. Now similarly, an individual, a living being, is made up of cell or cells. A cell is capable of doing the necessary activities for the survival. Now please note two words. The first one is made up and doing. So when we are talking about the structure, we can say an individual is made up of cell. So we can say that cell is the structural unit of life, and it is also the functional unit because it performs all the activities. Inside the cells, all the activities are happening which are vital for survival. So the term functional comes in. So when we are talking about a unit, we are talking about a fundamental or a basic entity. Now, just for the sake of information, what is a cell made up of? A cell is made up of molecules, and we know that molecules are made up of, yes, atoms. So you can see it is the very beginning of the organization of the living world. You can see before the cell, these two levels are of non-living nature. Why? Because in themselves they are unable to perform the life processes, but a cell can perform the life processes. So, do we have a branch of biology dealing with cell? Yes, of course. And that branch is known as cell biology or cytology. Study of cells. Now let's go back to the history. Now, when was the cell discovered first? Any idea? Yes, it was Robert Hooke. In the year 1665. It's more than 300 years ago. Observe the cork. Now it is derived from bark of a tree. What did he saw? He saw compartments. And these compartments he named later on as cell. You know, he published a book called Micrographia. It is the title of the book which he published. Since then, cell has been studied by a lot of biologists, and they have discovered a lot of things and told us about a lot of things. Important to mention is the electron microscope. It is an optical instrument which can magnify an object beyond our imagination. Who discovered electron microscope? You know that? It was Knoll and Ruska. You must have seen a compound microscope in your junior classes. Now it is an instrument which magnify the size of the specimen. A few names are associated with microscope. You can remember it for your competitive exams. So the first one is Anton von Leeuwenhoek. Now in the chronology, you will find the name of Robert Brown. He discovered nucleus. It is the control center of the cell. Then it was Kenji. He used the term protoplasm. Then Rudolf Virchow, he said that all cells arise from pre-existing cells. So we come to the cell theory. Now we come to cell theory. Now cell theory was proposed by Schleiden and Schwann. They both were German. And what does this cell theory say? It has some postulates. And the very fundamental postulate is that bodies of living organisms are made up of cells. Now let us consider the fact, are all the cells alike? Are all the cells alike? The answer is no. Cells vary in structure and functions. When we talk of size, cells range from 3 microns and get bigger. How big? The largest cell is the egg of an ostrich. What about the shape? The function of the cell largely determines the shape of the cell. Just for example, there are some cells which are flat. So what they can do? They eases and facilitates the transport of material through them. a molecule can easily move from this side to this side if it has to travel a lesser distance. So you can make out the flatter the cell, easier will be the transport. Look at the picture. Can you identify this organism? Yes, of course. It is amoeba. Can you identify this? What type of living being is this? You're right. It's a plant. Can you think of the differences? You will obviously say that plants can make their own food, while amoeba is dependent. Of course, you're right. But think of the structure. What is so unique about amoeba? It is made up of a single cell. What about a plant? Do you think it is made up of a single cell? Of course not. It is made up of innumerous cells. So we can write as many-celled. So amoeba is not only the one and which is present in this one cell group, it has a large number of members and we call them as unicellular organisms. And what are these known as? These are known as, think of, multicellular. So this leads us to something we call as the fundamental structure of a cell in general. So what we're going to do? Basic structure of the cell. The very fundamental parts, you can say, is the cell membrane, and whatever inside it is known as protoplasm. Protoplasm. We'll be discussing all these things. The protoplasm is further divided into a nucleus and the cytoplasm. The cytoplasm is further subdivided into what we can call as cytosol and cell organelles. Now cell organelles, depending on the number of membranes which encapsulates them, it can be single membranous, They can be double membranous, and they can be non-membranous. That means they are not covered. So let's make a list of all these. Our endoplasmic reticulum, ER, is single membranous organelle. So are the Golgi bodies, and lysosomes, which are the double membranous. Please remember the plastid and the mitochondria. Non-membranous, ribosomes and centrosomes. What does the nucleus contain? The nucleus contains the nuclear membrane, it contains the nucleoplasm, it contains the nucleolus, and it has chromatin fibers.